I would like you to grade the education system over the last, say, your lifetime, say 30-ish years. Grade high school and elementary education in the United States.
Oh gosh, we're probably
A to F.
Yeah, we're probably failing.
Wow.
And so I actually have it.
You give it a F.
Yeah, I give it a F. So I actually have had the opportunity, not just within this job, but also in my own capacity to be able to travel and see how different countries and also people are viewing and treating education. You can go to somewhere like India, and when you look at the reading levels that exist in India compared to our even elementary and high school kids, I mean, they're blowing us out of the water. And then you see that, 10 years down the line, and you see how they're kicking our butts in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And so I think one of the big questions is, how do you fix that? And I think one of the biggest problems that we created for ourselves is when you took the federal government and you had them really telling the states what to do with their education systems and how to really structure that.
And they do that. They do that every year with an $80 billion federal budget. Is that the right number?
I think it's probably more than that, but yeah, it's up there. And I think one of the things that you're seeing now is that there is this push to, I think, wokeify the education system, whereas you have places like China that are somewhat incorporating AI. They're having their kids focusing on things that make them a great country from their perspective. And then you compare that to our education system here. I didn't grow up in a particularly wealthy family. I actually went to over 6 high schools. And so I moved around a lot in between that education system. I think a lot of people say, well, how did you self-educate? Where does your experience come from? And I think because I saw that, I see the gaps that exist in our current education system. But it is pretty incredible to see that, when you incorporate what's happening with, I think, our younger kids with the exposure to social media, what social media is pushing on them, and then where our education system is failing, that's where we're going to see, I think, as a country, us to start to decline, especially in the next, 20 years. And we're also, too, at the same time, suffering from a population issue. So we actually have the lowest fertility rates, I think, ever reported, and that's going to create an issue as well.
Yeah.
Not to be a pessimist.
Well, hey, I would have bet you would. I like you. Just on that answer, because I asked him earlier, I said, hey, how do you think she's going to answer the question, how would you grade the education system over the last 20 years and to today? I thought you'd say a C, kind of stay in the middle of the road. I told him that C minus, if she's really aggressive. You said an F. So well done on being honest. This is a total F. I have a 15 and a 17-year-old kid. They were both had started in Montessori school. Then we got really busy. We hired a private teacher, flew all over the world with us. And then we got divorced, and we had, we couldn't agree on how to do that, unfortunately, for our own insanity. But the kids now are in a private school here. Starts with an S and a C, and I'm really, really disappointed with it. But I'm the SC does not, they are consistent with all the other schools. Mm-hmm. And my kids have lost all respect for adults because the inconsistencies they see in the school, they're smart kids. And they're like, this is BS, man. When they were wearing a mask, half of them would wear it correctly, right? But they're watching adults break the rules, not follow the rules. They don't even believe grades mean anything anymore.
Well, I think too, the issue is that the way that we look at the education system, like people are going to be better and worse at different things. Like there's different types of intelligences. So if you have a kid and you realize, oh, this kid might be really good at mathematics, or this one has really good spatial intelligence, you have to emphasize that, and you can't just expect them to one size fits all approach to education. So I was actually telling my husband, with our son, I think I want to do like a tutoring system and kind of go back to the old world and how they actually educated kids. And I remember the one time that actually did well in high school was when I was on a self-taught at-home study program. Mm-hmm. And then my mom was like, no, you need to, go be with kids your age. And then my grades went back down again. So I think that really what we're seeing now, though, is that you have people in Washington who a lot of them don't have their families up there. They don't have kids that are in the grade school age. And then you have this federalized system, and then you see, different schools teaching different stuff. They're getting federal dollars, and we're really suffering because of it. So if it were up to me, I think
how do we fix it?
Yeah, if it were up to me, I'd say give the states more autonomy with their education system. It's not realistic to say that we're going to be able to abolish the Department of Education, because I don't think
What?
Well, I don't think that'll ever happen. The votes aren't there for that. There's too many people that are, I think, institutionalists in that sense. So I think the next realistic approach would be to cut through some of that red tape.
Is it bad marketing as well?
I don't think it's bad marketing. I think that people are tired of the education system currently. I just think that the books aren't there.
In fairness, if I was running a company and you and your husband had stock in my company and you graded it as an F, and you said, hey, look, your regulatory body is the federal government. They have $80 billion budget. You don't continue that.
Correct.
You knock it in its head. You fire everyone involved, and you start over.
Correct.
See, I keep asking this question, is this fixable inside? I don't think it is. He who created the problem cannot fix the problem.
I think that it is fixable if we get different people elected that are not a part of that problem. Just like that.
But you said, though, earlier, you said, hey, look, you're not going to disrupt the federal government's involvement in the education system. And I actually think there's some truth in that, although it may not be the answer I want.
Mm-hmm.
Would you support, if that's true, and I believe also what's true is he who creates the problem cannot fix it. This is a club now. They have a whole recipe about how they do things, right? If you can't fix it from the inside, would you as a congresswoman support a different system being allowed to compete side by side with that system, okay? So that means if there's $80 billion over here, hey, look, you give me 10% of that, and let me prove how bad the system is by working outside the system and doing comparison analysis. I'll take your kid, I'll take some other kids. We'll take kids who are progressive from conservative families who want you know what? My kids need to learn how to use a shovel, not just a pencil, not just a computer. They need to show up on time. They need to go to gym class and actually participate in gym, not talk on their telephones. Nothing is happening. Like, my biggest challenges of hiring people today is not that they're not capable.
Poor work ethic.
They don't know how to show up.
Yeah.
They don't know how to listen. They do not know how to communicate well. And they are so disorganized. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I would absolutely support that. And going back to what you said about really getting rid of or abolishing the Department of Education or even defunding it, I believe that it was Representative Massey that brought a bill forward, and it'll never see the floor. But there's a lot of members that co-sponsored that just because, exactly to your point, if you have, even if it were a business that's not performing and you're giving it all this money, then you have to cut off the fat.
Of course you would.
And unfortunately, with the current member, the way that the Congress is organized currently, unless we get new blood in, I don't think that'll change anytime soon. But I would absolutely support something to compete with it.